So today on Alabama Unfiltered, we talked about so much, we had to make a list. What did we talk about, Allison?
I mean, I think my favorite topic was the homesteading.
Was it?
We're going to tell you, you need to start raising your own chickens, how to buy a cow. I don't know. I think we're there. And then we talk about everything from
Birmingham Southern. What's happening with that? The Alabama basketball player.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
And then how about the school in Lower Alabama?
So Baldwin County, are they following the rules of the Alabama Counselors Association on gender affirmation or not? We kind of go through that. And then the teacher video from California where the teacher punches the student and the whole rigmarole on that. And then we close it out with, should women wear sleeveless things in professional settings? I don't know. We're going to discuss it, but we cover a lot. So I think they'll be entertained.
Yeah, don't go anywhere.
We're literally debating that it's bad that people get to say what they think.
Can you imagine? I'm reading Psalm 144 and it says, He trains my hands for war.
We are on the brink of total destruction of America as we know it.
Let your rebel flag fly.
Welcome into this week's edition of Alabama Unfiltered. I am one of your co-hosts, Scott Beeson. Amy Beth Shaver is with me. Allison Sinclair is as well. Ladies, how are y'all?
Great.
Good.
Great.
Yeah.
Good. You're just good. Amy Beth is great, and you're just good.
It's just the weather. It's kind of a dreary. Yeah.
I had a smoothie. So I feel
So that
better.
makes you great.
I'm going to bring her
weather?
a smoothie next time.
With the
What is
protein.
the deal with smoothies? Are y'all on a diet? I'm the one supposed to be losing weight and telling people, you know, the
That's
world where I am. I'm down. Well, I went up a little bit before I officially started, but I'm down 0.4 of a pound.
That's
God.
Are you serious?
Yes, that's
it's
a
January
positive
17th.
thing.
0.4
I know.
of a pound.
At this rate, I should be down to my target weight in
40?
about the time the Great Reset finishes, 2030. Because I'll own nothing. I'll be skinny. It's going to be fantastic.
Okay.
What?
I don't
Just because
That's
I
like
was at an all-time
how much your
high.
t-shirt weighs.
Yeah. Are you surprised at how men don't know how to weigh? Like, they weigh with their clothes on. I'm like,
No, I
did
weigh-
no one ever tell you how to do this?
You weigh in your skivvies in the morning. Right?
Well, that's about all. So,
I didn't say picture it.
Wash my
I just said,
congratulations on your 0.4 of a pound weight loss.
yes, thank you
That's
for
how
being
much
so
your skivvies
positive.
weigh.
I mean,
So now I got to take my skivvies off the way
Don't
to
you,
figure
when
out
you
where.
go to the doctor and you weigh with your clothes on, you're like, don't I even get to take my shoes off? Those are like 3 pounds
Yeah, they
right
make
there.
you
No,
weigh
I mean,
more.
yeah. Do you weigh in your skivvies and your shoes?
And my
Then take
shoes
your
are off, just skivvies.
Yeah, it's just not appropriate, but it's true. And we're excited because it's the little wins here. It's just the
win,
little victories.
little small
yeah.
steps.
Yeah, I think
What
it's
is
because I had protein today. You know,
Okay.
I
So
was
what are you
feeling-
doing? You're like,
Chris Shaver
Is he doing-
straight keto, but it's not going
that means
well.
no carbs? Is that what that means?
It means no carbs.
He's a doctor. Like, I'm worried that if I went no carbs, that the radio show would be terrible. This would be terrible because I'll be like,
Well, so you have so much protein
Oh,
though, and
the
so
protein fires
and so
you
there's
up?
so much protein that you stay full for a long time, and we're like into
but you
vitamins
don't ever
and
have
stuff.
any.
Well, I didn't
function?
say that never happened for me
Okay.
because last night, after 2 weeks of really being support team for Chris Shaver's new diet,
So you're doing his diet for
kind
him?
of.
Well, that's
I'm doing
nice.
better. I'm way more protein. I'm just
Okay.
trying to introduce more protein in water.
I feel like
I ate nachos last night. I was so desperate for.
Were they
actual food.
awesome?
Oh, they were so good. They're like the best I'd ever had.
Well, cheese. I mean, nachos shouldn't be too
Well,
bad.
the chicken, the cheese, the guac, the tomatoes, all good.
Right. What
the
part of
chips
that is
I had,
bad?
not
That's
great.
what cavemen would eat.
But I really didn't eat much yesterday at all. So calorie-wise, I was still in a deficit. How about you?
Right.
well,
And you're doing it too?
no,
Well, I'm the only one officially doing it, and
Yeah.
I'm behind.
Because we won't feel bad if we don't make a proclamation of officialness.
So I'm the one lying.
I'm actually really proud of myself, which doesn't happen often. But like my New Year's resolution was to be more disciplined. Well, today on January 17th, I started day 1 of my reading the Bible through 1 year.
Really, you're 17
I'm
days
one
behind.
day in. I'm 17 days behind,
Or
but I did
does
start.
it bother
you're
you
in.
that you're on January 1st?
Well, no, because it actually you can recalibrate, restart your start date.
Oh, so you're using the
It's on this. It's
Incarnate
called
or
the
something.
Bible recap.
Oh, okay.
So I'm kind of. It's anyway. But do you know how many times I've read Genesis 1 through 3?
Many
How many times?
I'm
How many
gonna
times you
try and
started
get
the year through the
confined to
Bible?
say-
Many times.
So, but then I started Weight Watchers again
Today?
because yesterday.
Okay.
And again today.
All right.
And again today.
So what's tomorrow?
It's a whole new day to succeed.
Okay,
That's
sorry.
what I'm telling
So
myself.
Weight Watchers yesterday.
Yeah.
Bible today.
Tomorrow I really need to use my calendar, like my day timer.
I have a new calendar.
That's what you're going to start
Feels
doing tomorrow.
very
That's part of my
satisfying.
discipline. Yeah, I'll start it
And
tomorrow.
in your day timer, you could put Weight Watchers down
yeah.
and Bible
Read the
reading
Bible.
down.
Yeah.
I would
That's
say
something
Weight
for
Watchers
every
is
day.
so different. Have any of y'all ever? Like,
I've never
this
did it
isn't
the
a
first
plug.
time.
I did it years ago, like 20 years ago after I had Connor, and now it's really different. But I'm hoping it works. There's nothing
Is it
else.
good?
Wasn't
Do
it
you
supposed
like
to be
it?
great then? So how is it different now? You know how the
Like
the weight
I
place
had to
like
do
we've got the
Nutrisystem.
greatest
I did
plan
that one.
ever,
Yeah.
and 10 years later it's different. I'm like, wait a minute, but it was the greatest plan ever.
I think it was the greatest for the technology they had then, or maybe
yeah,
what they
because
knew.
science says stop eating, Scott, and then 20 years later it would still work. Stop eating, Scott. So what do they do now? What kind of game is it that?
It's not well, I think they just like back then it was all about fiber and y'all really don't care about
yeah,
this.
well, I really do because
Anyway, just their
I lost
calculations.
0.4 of a pound
It's still-
since what,
it's-
January?
You should join. We could do it together.
Actually, I think I'm up since January the 1st.
Oh.
I went
That's
up
just
before
not
I started losing. You gotta go ahead and binge and get started.
Well, anyway, it's still a point system. I
Okay.
don't know. It's only been a day. I really
You're-
don't know.
So I got started,
Look,
and it's
just up your
fantastic.
I don't know.
protein. Just increase.
We need to
your
have a
protein.
contest if that's what we're doing. Of course, y'all are scrawnier
We'll
than I am.
do-
I've got to lose like 50 pounds. That's my goal.
Do percentage.
50 pounds.
We could do percentage.
Percentages?
Yeah, because that's like if
That's
you
like
lose
a fair
50
tax
pounds.
or something. I don't know if that's.
Every single person listening right now feels our pain. They
Yeah.
know.
They do.
Everybody knows.
I'm mad about it because I used to not feel this pain when
Listen,
I was young. And,
it
is
and
so
all the people say, one
frustrating.
day your metabolism going to stop. I'm like, no, it's not. Oh, yes, it does.
It is so frustrating because not only do we have babies and have to fight that back off,
Yeah.
but then you get
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
your
Your
40s
excuse.
and up, and you're like, what is going on? And so Chris is in that same place. I think it looks great. He has decided he's going to do this. And I'm like, now you know what it's like. Because used to, after I'd have kids and I'd be like sweating my whole body off and falling off the treadmill, he'd be like, I'm going to lose weight. And the next week, 25 pounds
But now
were
it's
gone.
not that
Yeah.
way.
And I think it's just everything changes. And then you begin to go, okay, what can I live with and what can't I live with?
Look, if I ever get to the point like Brian Dawson, who is doing this
What is he doing?
Carnivore.
Caveman
caveman diet, and
What's the
I
difference
just
in
walked
that?
past his office, and
Right.
there's, gosh, this is an expensive diet.
Right.
There's like a 18 count of eggs, where he does his slonking. Do you know what
that's-
slonking
It's
is?
so gross.
It's the Rocky. You crack open an egg and I'm like,
And
if
you
you
just-
ever walk by my desk, I don't have a desk, but if
Right.
I ever bring in raw eggs and slonk, just
We're
punch
gonna
me in
have
the
But
to-
face.
don't
We're gonna
you
have
think
to
the
have that
cavemen were
conversation.
smart enough
We're
to like,
gonna have
hey,
to
let's
talk
cook
about
one of these
that.
jokers? I just saw an article where they found a fire thing and some ostrich eggs where some caveman kind of person apparently was making like.
Did he kill
I
himself?
think he was cooking the eggs.
Yeah.
So why don't?
And he
why don't-
died of a heart attack, probably?
No, they didn't have the mRNA vaccines.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, then good for him.
Well, yeah, he probably
I
lived
mean,
a
maybe
long
the
life
ostrich
until
got
the-
mad that he took
Yeah, well, the ostrich
her
might have hunted
baby
him down
eggs,
and killed him.
and just
But I don't
pecked him to
understand the
death.
raw thing. Why do you
I
do it
don't know.
raw?
I think it's cooler.
Is that what it is? It's just
It
cooler
is
and
so
quicker?
It's
vile.
like you're
Are
like,
you an oyster
I just
person?
went slonking. I just slonked my eggs for the day.
I don't
Are y'all
wanna-
oyster
I didn't
people?
want to know what schlunking
Hey.
is. I learned so many things from y'all. We had to tell our neighbors about pineapples yesterday, and
You're
they were like,
welcome.
"What? They didn't know either. Why do
It's a select few.
people in
And once you know,
people in my
you
part of
know.
town
You never
did
look
not
at a
know?
pineapple the same.
I can guarantee you people in your section of town know, and they just don't talk about it. Because
maybe
the
that's
people
what
who
it is.
enjoy the pineapple do not
Tell
talk about
other
it.
people.
Hey,
It's in a club.
Yes.
I'm going to get us back on track with this, but
Are
it
you?
is something I want to talk about today because have y'all heard about, and I haven't read, it was like a Twitter, this could be a total fabrication, but have y'all heard anything about them using mRNA shots in livestock now?
Mhm.
A tiny
I think
bit.
is
Well,
it,
crap, what do we do now?
Malone is saying that that's what they're going to do.
Well,
Start
I
putting
can't
it in
cows,
food.
eat,
right?
or what does that do if you eat mRNA cow?
He says it's going to pass it through on to you.
This
so
is
where are we going to
unbelievable.
find cows? to eat?
We need to go ahead and
That's what exactly.
Okay.
No.
I'm going to
I'm
get
thinking
some
more like
Highland
Coleman.
cows.
We put houses in all our pastures.
Wait, you have cows?
No, but I'm going to get some.
You want the
because
furry cows? Is that what you said?
I want the furry cows
Scottish
that
Highland
apparently
cows?
aren't going to do well. But it is terrifying that they are putting this in our meat. So that means you have to get some chickens. You've got to get some cows if that's your thing. Plant your vineyard. Build your garden.
Because you got to have
You
wine.
got to have a vineyard.
You gotta
I
do
knew that was coming
all
from
the
one of y'all.
things.
Plant the vineyard.
Because I don't want that in my food supply.
Well, I mean, like, in the real serious
Have they
talk-
started it yet?
Well, I don't know. Literally, I just read the headline of something, so you probably know more about it. But, and then it brings up the whole conversation that's come up about the blood banks, which I thought, what do we do? Do we need to wear a bracelet like the diabetics do? That's like pure blood. Do not, if I am in a car wreck and dying, don't give me mRNA
Unless I'm
blood.
about to really die. It's the last second. Give me that.
But are they going to keep separate blood?
Oh, no, because the healthcare industry folks are the ones who said take all these things. So they're never going to admit, they're not going to separate. You're going to have to, like, I'm going to need, if you have surgery, I'm going to need to donate blood. So
So this is where the parallel society thing really gets intense, which we've seen coming with, okay, Christians can only eat at Chick-fil-A. They can't eat Popeye's chicken. They can't go to Starbucks. They can't, and like the banks and all that. But now we're getting down to like, literally we're going to be eating mRNA cow.
Would you like to know? It says in regenerativemc.com that animal studies related to mRNA vaccines were difficult to read and analyze. And it said, and this was in late 2021, that no animal study went beyond 56 days, presumably because the immediate goal was to prove the vaccines could mount a good immuno response. But they don't have data, even in animal studies, as to the long-term adverse effects of mRNA.
Is that because they all died?
I don't know. They say they're going to collect
they
it all
may
through
just not wanna know.
2022.
Right.
So we need to look at it again and see, now that we're in 2023, what has happened. But that's a terrifying thought.
Yeah.
But, we've talked on the show a number of times about why are we not in Alabama? And maybe somebody will pick up the ball. Maybe they'll run with it. I think the state should do it, but golly, some of the leadership at the state is hard to. But we should be doing everything we can to be able to grow our own food in the state of Alabama, have our own cattle. We've got plenty of chicken, be able to process it locally, even if the USDA doesn't like it. And so that we can, provide for ourselves. There's so many reasons to want to do that with the world economy so messed up, and then some of these health concerns. Shouldn't we be trying to do that more? I mean, everything's so expensive already. Is the cost really going to be that much different? I mean, you take out the transportation costs if we're growing it in Alabama and eating it in Alabama. So I just think it's something we really ought to be thinking about or doing.
Yeah.
We should probably be beyond thinking about it now.
But it's happening, and you see it. Like I'm on this group chat. It's called the Prepper Chat. It's
You're on the Prepper Chat.
I'm on the Prepper Chat, and sometimes I have to step away from it because it gets a little intense. But it's actually really good stuff. But one of the things that they do, and do y'all remember like 20 years ago, Connor was a baby, where co-ops were really big, and you'd go to the little community center and get your box of vegetables. And then I don't know, I guess organic stuff started coming to the store, which now you can't even trust. And it's and so now I'm seeing the shift. And in the Prepper Chat, there's lots of ways and like different websites and companies, and very local. Like I can get my vegetables from this farm from Chelsea, and you just go to this pickup area.
Really?
I'm actually looking into that. And today I had the discussion about where are we going to get local cows. There's a place. I can't remember his name. And she sent me the contact. It says so-and-so the cow man. And I'm like, I'm going to call the cow man and see. And he's in Alabama too. So it's happening organically without the government involved. And I hope they don't watch this podcast.
Well, you're probably right. They'll probably mess it up because they would have to have all kind of regulations and all this kind of stuff. So maybe it needs to be more organic, but I want it to be where it's easier to do. You know what I'm saying? And maybe it really is easy.
Go to a local farmer's market. I don't know. You just got to find your supplier.
Right.
Like drugs.
You do. And no,
Find your
look,
supplier.
you know what we did? We bought some land in Chilton County, and with the point of learning how to farm.
So you're going to have
And
like a homestead kind of thing where you're prepared
you know what?
to do what you need to do.
When you're talking about the FDA and all the regulation that they're doing, when you look at the food processing plants that are blowing up randomly,
Right.
kind of like the Biden's rental cars just randomly blow up.
Forgot about that.
You know, I mean, it's crazy, right? And so Chris is like, there was a point in time where we didn't need any of that because we knew how to do what we needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And we forget that that was our original baseline. It wasn't to be regulated. It wasn't to be told how to do this or how to do that and big government looking over your shoulder. And so also because Bill Gates seemed to be buying up a lot of land,
Right.
Chris was like, well, this is what we're going to do. But for the long term, and so literally we're looking into what can we grow? And can I finally have cows and chickens? Because I think that is a very real threat. Because I can't grow anything right now. I kill everything, but I've got to learn, because you do look around and you think, okay, they're going to put this into the cows. What are they going to put in the chickens? What are they going to do with our eggs? They are bound and determined to use us as little pawns in their chess games, as little worms in their experiment. And we have to be able to say, absolutely not, and fend for ourselves. And so that's the Shaver's resistance.
Okay, we're going to Chilton County when the
So come with us.
Apocalypse
He even
happens.
has an AR that it handles zombie apocalypse. We're already on the list. Yeah, it was
We're
funny.
already on the list. It doesn't
Yeah, we're
matter.
already on the list. But so y'all are welcome. Come on.
Okay, great.
But I just want you to
I
know
I can
that if
farm.
we
I
need a
can
place to
garden.
go, we're still in the very baby stages of figuring this whole thing out. But I don't want to be helpless when they come calling.
Have y'all heard that? And I know we need to move on to something else, but
I'm actually learning a lot.
okay, so I'll keep going. Apparently, they've already infiltrated like the homesteading chickens because chickens. So we've had 2 flocks of chickens before. Of course, we got rid of them right before coronavirus. A raccoon got in, and then we gave away. You know, and I'm like, right when everything's falling apart, we don't have eggs or chickens. And I loved my chickens, but they molt and they actually slow down laying eggs in the winter as the sun goes down, you know, and it regulates. But you would still get eggs. Well, now there's this whole conspiracy within that community because people's chickens aren't even laying like in the winter. They think they're like messing with the homesteading chickens. I swear they're trying to kill us. So I don't know. We're going to have to maybe like, what is it, the Truman Show or Hunger Games, like form a bubble and just protect ourselves where we know the chickens lay.
Hey, Atlas Shrugged. We'll just like form our own little secret community.
Yeah, what was the name of the community? I can't remember.
I forgot. Something Valley.
I never.
It was so good.
I never.
Yeah, it was.
Is there a movie
John
of
God.
it?
Who is John God? But then I forgot. I forgot where they all go to live, though.
They go. You know, we need to know.
We'll figure that out.
I'll let you know.
Is there a movie of it? Because I
You
can't
want to see the movie?
The book. I
the
passed
movie's
the
probably
book.
not as good. You need to get do the book. You can do the book.
The book took me an
I can barely read the
summer.
Bible.
It's like 1,200 pages. It's long.
It's long.
It is very long. It's good.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Atlas Shrugged.
Did goodness gracious, what was the okay, I want to ask y'all this one. This was not on y'all's list that we were thinking about talking about.
Okay.
But I saw a video today, and we talk about education a lot. And it's apparently gone viral. It's a school in California. The teacher
already.
is a black male, black guy. The student looks like, you only see him from the side, it looks like he might be Asian. I don't know, might be Hispanic. And apparently the kid is 14 years old. He is up at the front. I didn't listen to the whole thing, but apparently he calls the teacher the N-word like multiple times. He takes a basketball. Why he has a basketball, I don't know. Kind of throws it at the teacher's legs. They're just a short distance apart. The teacher kind of walks away. The kid's still saying something. Finally, the teacher comes back over there and then swings at him. The teacher swings at the kid.
Okay.
Oh goodness.
And then it's on. And so he's like after him. It's a fight, and the teacher's clearly going to win. Teacher's bigger, the whole 9 yards. What got me about it was I like to read the comments on things afterwards. And, there's multiple comments of like, hey, the kid's a punk, he deserves it. And then there's the one that's automatically, and I know we're supposed to say this. What we're supposed to say, and we're taught to say, and we have to say because we're adults and we're nice and we're civil, is that under no circumstance should the teacher have ever laid a hand on the poor 14-year-old boy. My question is, why do we say that automatically? Because do we not see that our schools are out of control? There are kids that are totally out of control. I have a friend of mine who used to be a teacher. He was a coach, and a student, this was years ago, literally spit in his face from this far apart.
Oh my God.
He was telling him, you got to go to the principal's office or whatever, or you need to sit down or something. Spits right in his face. And I was like, holy moly, how did you not just unload? And so my question is really, before we automatically say what we're supposed to say, is there not a chance that we should probably be going, hey, wait a minute, there's a real problem when a 14-year-old kid who might come into the school and shoot everybody and kill everybody is totally not afraid of an adult at all, an adult male at all, and is clearly trying to get that teacher to do something because he knows that teacher's career is probably over. And he may spend some time in jail because, he's the poor little 14-year-old. But why? I mean, we automatically, if somebody said, well, what do you think? We know we're supposed to say, well, there's just no excuse for that. Really? Maybe he should have been launched into the stratosphere, but maybe that's a guy thing. Maybe guys feel that way. Maybe women don't feel that way. Because I would have been killed if I was that kid. I would have hoped the teacher beat me up because my life would have been over by the time I got home. From the spankings to the groundings to the, I mean, I probably wouldn't even seen the daylight for months.
Yeah.
But we've got a real problem in the schools. And I'm just saying that our response can't always be, oh no, somebody overreacted.
I think, no offense, because you're super smart. Right. But I think you're oversimplifying the issue in that I don't think I always say this, it's not an either or, it's a both and. We have issues in our schools. Right. I was sent probably 3 weeks ago a picture of a substitute teacher's arm. This is in Shelby County, where a child had she had to get a tetanus shot, bitten her, like bite marks, tetanus shot kind of thing. And I don't know what happened with the child, but I
got a question, real quick question. If one of y'all's precious little crippled cats or whatever y'all all have, clamps down on your arm, do you go, pardon me, kitty, let me graduate? Or do you go, what the?
But no,
I'm just asking.
No, I mean,
because I want to know what the teacher did. Did the teacher go, oh, precious baby, sweetheart? Where's the teacher like, what the? And then it's like, oh my gosh, you have struck the child.
Yeah, but I think
okay, keep going. I'm just asking.
And then there's another teacher sent me something different, school system of being spit on and hit and just kind of come at all day, every day, verbally or even physically. And the school doesn't do anything. Whenever Obama, they outlawed, spanking and some of the harsher punishments, we've seen that decline in schools.
They don't want to put them on the sheet. You can't say, okay, another discipline problem, another discipline. Oh my gosh, we've had 5 every day from you just ignore all that.
Because you can't label
it. Don't keep it. Don't label it. We don't want to know. And that's going on. Right.
But the law says from the other side, the teacher side, the law, until you're 18, you're like assaulting a minor. Yeah. And I feel like that we all, there are times in traffic or even with my own kids where I don't want to be the adult, but you have to have that restraint. I don't know. It's like either there are laws or there aren't. So either it's not okay to, now if it's a gun or a knife or an imminent danger, but what's the basketball going to do? And then he walks over and the teacher swings first. Right. I have issue with that. Yeah. But I'm not saying that the child is right either or that he shouldn't be punished. But what it's going to do, he's going to go home and he's not going to be the Scott Beeson that doesn't see the daylight. Right. Probably got nothing.
He's probably fine. Probably nothing.
I'm sure that teacher deserved it. Yeah.
Probably nothing is going to happen. I'm just saying it's like we're taught to automatically say when
Amy Best be nice.
When it doesn't it doesn't really fit what we're encountering anymore. Because I think about my son, he just turned 16, and if he was all up in the grill of some adult and it got started, he's 16. If this was a woman, he is he would be the aggressor. He's the powerful one. He's the strong one. Most of our teachers are women, And we just have this, and y'all are involved, y'all's kids are involved in sports, around sports. There's some 15, 16, 17-year-olds that make me look at my full-time super high, 250 pounds, tiny, nothingness. But we still say, oh, that poor child. And I'm like, he's a giant. So we just got to figure out, realize we've got some issues. I mean, the kid getting bit, really? I mean,
that what's wrong is right and right is wrong.
And nothing happens. And we keep, our teachers are becoming victims more and more and more and more and more. And we keep saying, the nice people keep saying, oh, the poor child. Somewhere we got to get a grasp on this.
Well, think about it too. That's the ultimate form of hate, not to correct the situation before it got to the point where this kid provoked the teacher.
Oh yeah, this kid was probably bad when he was 7.
Yeah, and they didn't do anything.
And they did nothing.
And the schools aren't protecting their teachers. That's not loving. That's hateful.
Right.
And so then it becomes a matter of civil disobedience. And is that civil disobedience for safety?
Right.
Because they're certainly not loving that kid's life, because nobody's loved that kid enough to say, you will stop it right now.
Because as soon as you are old enough to be responsible, you're headed to prison.
You're going to prison, and then the rest of your life is going to be gone.
Right.
So I agree with you that before we're quick to say, oh, poor child, what kind of consequences are going to exist for that child for doing that? Or have they done it the whole time? And so he knew, which is also hateful. It's nothing but hate. It's like a ball of hate.
Right.
He knew he was going to get away with it. It was the first time somebody said, actually, you're not.
Right.
And so think about, the teacher probably knew at great personal risk, I'm going to have to.
And here's my thing. Also,
discipline you power to power, the only way you can understand, even though logically that's wrong.
Right. And every parent and adult and commentator probably doesn't think about, this is probably not the first time this kid has pushed the button, pushed the buttons, pushed the button, pushed the button. Because in our mind, we think, oh, this was the first time. Well, Johnny was upset because his grandmama died or something. But it's not. That kid has probably been a problem. And I think part of the video set me off because I was like, wow, now I know what kind of school this is, because the confrontation's occurring and another kid runs up kind of from the back with his cell phone.
Oh yeah.
He's videoing the conflict, and the person I'm watching the video is already videoing it from the back of the thing. So I'm like, this guy has no control in his classroom. So everyone who says, oh, well, you should have just sent him to the principal, clearly doesn't understand that this school is one of these out of control places.
Well, it is. And I think we also are coming into situations from a certain school district perspective. I've been in other school districts. I used to speak in schools. That was how I spent 10 years of my life. So different schools operate differently, and different communities see things differently. And so some are okay with a higher level of pushback. And whereas for us, that would be crazy, but for them, that might be normal. I don't know. But I think that the absence of any sort of Judeo-Christian ethic has led us to that moment where a teacher felt like, this is my only option. It was a poor response.
Yes. I'm not advocating for the response.
But then you also think about here when our own teachers that are going to school at great personal peril, because they're going to get spit on and bit, and nothing is going to happen to the kid. Literally nothing until they get in high school, and they may get sent to alternative school for a time.
Right.
But what have they done for them all the way up until now? Nothing. Nothing. And so we really do have a desperate need to return to a Judeo-Christian ethic, whether we agree with it or not. Even since Horace Mann started the whole idea of schools in the 1800 or 1758 or whatever it was, we still had a foundation of morals and values. And we took those away and we traded them in for, let's protect the 1% of the population, the transgender, the LGBTQIA, but let's not protect anybody else. And now we're here.
With no punishment, no personal responsibility. Your truth and my truth and all the truths are the same. And
it's tragic.
And that's where we
because all the kids and all the teachers that are just trying to go to school, do their job, learn.
Right. They're the ones that are scared.
They're scared and suffering.
Right.
Well, out of those 2 teachers, one is leaving. Been a teacher for 20 years, 25
said,
years.
I've had enough.
Because really what this does is it is a disservice to the children ultimately, because teachers can't teach in that environment.
That's right.
I mean, if you have an unruly classroom and there's nothing you can do, or you feel threatened every day, and I mean, you watch our education system around the country, it's just tanking. And I think this has a lot to do. I guess I go back. I wish the child had thrown the first actual punch.
No, I agree.
And then it's like game on.
I agree with that. Okay, well, all right.
Yeah.
So that's what it would take.
That's what it would take. It's kind of
So
like
he
I tell
should
my
say, the
kids,
principal say,
like,
"Look, here's what
if
you
you're
do. You're
about to
gonna-"
get in a fight at school,
Right.
don't throw the first punch.
Right.
But once they do, we got your back all the way. I don't know.
Would y'all like a
Because
little?
it looks like the teacher tries and he goes away and he's just like, and
But then it
I'm
takes
sure
over-
that's
yeah.
mouthing. Because I'm one of those guys who thinks the mouthing counts.
the mouthing.
And I know other people do not.
yeah,
and
that's a
I
tough
think
one.
women see it differently too. Because I can remember being young, the couple of fights I've ever got in, it was always the line was the being touched. You know what I'm saying? If
Yes.
they touch you.
Yeah.
But the person was just like, like right here, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, you better.
Back it up.
You know, maybe
Yeah.
you're the one.
There you go. That's what you
boom,
do.
it's on now.
Yeah.
So because I think the mouthing is part of the deal.
That's
But
total
maybe
disrespect.
Maybe that's the man
Think about
thing.
what
I don't
they've
know.
heard, what they've grown up around. I don't
Right.
care where you are in the country. That level of disrespect is epic. Okay, before we take a break, because I know we need to, do you know how many? Okay, can you see my computer?
All I saw was public
She's a
school
cheater.
enrollment.
That's
Do
how
you
she passed
know
engineering.
how
Oh, I did
many
see the
it
numbers,
has
so
dropped?
I can't. Okay.
What's
How
dropped
much public school enrollment has dropped by how much?
since when?
Put a number. Just put a number. Since
a
the fall of
percentage.
2020.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 1 year drop. How many kids do you think have left?
3%.
Okay, I'm going to give you instead of a percent in a million, 1.4 million since the fall of 2020 hit a 10-year low. So now there's 49.4 million public school students, but it dropped by 1.4 million just in that short
I
time
believe
limit,
it.
really since the pandemic. From the Federalist, a fantastic article.
I was one of those
schools
1.4.
are considering public school closures and other cost-saving measures. There are empty classrooms that they're reporting. But they're saying now, as we creep into 2023 and they look back, the losses may be closer to 2 million.
Wow.
So,
I believe it.
point to ponder.
Well, that's one of the reasons. I know we got to take that break, but that's one of the reasons why they, like in Alabama, where they keep trying to, they know sports is such a part of our culture, and they just keep holding that. Like, if you leave, we're going to make it hard for your children to participate
Right.
and all this kind of stuff. When they could make it so
Right.
easy and so seamless
Right.
with no problems, but they know
They just tweak it.
what you want. Especially, I mean, if you're a parent of boys who are active and athletic, and I
do
have
that.
girl athletes too, but still, that's like part of the culture.
They
I
wanna
mean,
punish you a
need
little
it,
bit.
and you need some of
Yeah.
that warrior fight and all that the sports gives you, and they just keep holding that. Well, you better stay.
Yep.
And
They lose that money if that fanny isn't in that seat.
right.
absolutely. So we need to take a break.
Yep. Need to
Let's take a
break.
quick break. We appreciate you. Just stick with us. We'll be back on the other side.
What's up, guys? Brian Dawson, CEO of 1819 News here. I want to take a minute to tell you about my good friends over at Centurion Labs. Cold weather is here, and you know what that means. Colds, the flu, and coronaviruses are running rampant. Your immune system needs protection, and that's why I love what my friends over at Centurion Labs are doing. They're always looking for safe, effective, affordable ways to keep you healthy and at your best. Got a cough, sore throat, or a runny nose? You need to check out their Ninja Cough product. You heard me, Ninja Cough. It contains the strongest non-narcotic cough suppressant on the market with no sugar, alcohol, or dyes. So it's safe for everyone, even your kids. Looking to strengthen your immune health, prevent sickness, or fight off the flu, and of course, coronaviruses? Defender Immunity Boost is for you. It is an all-in-one immunity booster that combines vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, copper, and quercetin in just one pill to save you money and help defend your health. Having trouble sleeping? Defender PM is a nighttime immunity booster that will help you get rest and boost your immune health. Now is the time to defend your health, save money, and support a company that shares your Christian values and loves this country. Centurion has dedicated the last 15 years to research and develop safe, effective, and affordable products made in the USA that you can trust. For a limited time, listeners of this podcast can get 20% off their first bottle order when you visit centurionlabs.com/1819news and use the promo code 1819. That's centurionlabs.com/1819news with the promo code 1819. Check them out, guys.
Welcome back in. We are back. By the way, check us out at all the places that you find your podcast, whether Apple, wherever, Spotify, all those places. Check us out. Give us a thumbs up. Tell other people about the program because that's how we grow. And don't forget to remember that we are powered by 1819 News. Go to 1819news.com, sign up for the daily detail and the newsletter that'll keep you up to speed on all the things going on in Alabama. So it sounds like, ladies, we've done a lot about education, and this is Alabama Unfiltered. And Alabama education was in the news just the other day. Of all places, Baldwin County, Alabama is what? They're all in on transgender counseling. What was that story?
That was the first story.
Yeah, that was the first story.
Yeah.
So the counselors in Baldwin County schools are going to follow the National Counselors Association guidelines and, tell your kids they might be boys and they might be girls and they might be the
all
other.
the gender affirming language and that they are supposed to, whether the parents know or not, kind of continue that discussion like it's normal and
affirm it.
Affirm it.
Yes.
Okay, so this came out.
And I was like, Alabama? Really?
Yeah, and this counseling association is something that we actually probably need to do a deep dive on.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more of an issue in Alabama education than people knew or wanted to realize. But I think we've had a turn. Amy Beth,
Really?
what you got?
So from 1819 News on Tuesday, January 17th, Baldwin County's schools superintendent, Eddie Tyler, rejects, and may I just say at the beginning, this is how we do it. Go, Eddie Tyler. Gender affirming counselor guidelines. We are not, and we will not be mandating any acceptance of gender identity beyond what is published on a birth certificate.
Wow. So,
Round of
okay,
applause.
yeah, absolutely. So where was the disconnect on this whole story? Were the counselors, okay, because we got to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
We have to figure out where these people are
Yes.
that want to do this in our schools, okay?
Right.
So clearly the superintendent wasn't the one saying, hey, y'all make sure y'all do this. Was it the
Right.
counselors in the schools who were like, hey, we're just going by the national guidelines, kind of like the libraries do. Oh, we're just following the National Library Association recommendations because we don't want to lose our accreditation or something. Do y'all have any idea kind of where that's coming from? Was it the school board?
I'm with you. I don't. All I know is that I looked for kind of a little history of how did we get to this like school counselor thing. It's
Right.
been around for about 100 years.
Right.
It went from just being a position to being a whole thing in schools. And intense training goes on with it. It went from being just each school kind of had their random guidance counselor to now there's this whole association. And is it courage is a habit? Courage is a virtue. Courage is a habit.
yeah.
I'll find it.
Yeah.
I'll put it in show notes. Really is a wonderful website that is publishing what's happening at school counseling association meetings.
Okay.
And most school counselors are a part, or most school systems are linked in somehow, even if they're not whole hog, they're linked in somehow. And that's how they found this story, was because on the school's website, it linked through to the American Association of School Counselors.
Right.
And that's how they found it. And that's when Eddie Tyler was like, no, thank you.
we're not
It's
doing
kind of like
that.
the NEA or the AEA,
Yes.
like you're part of this giant umbrella, but then you're separate.
Right.
But yeah, I
Well, you
think
kind
it
of
was,
claim you're separate, but they still give you guidelines. So if you get caught doing it, no, we're not. We're separate. We just sign up to get the recipes. But then if you don't, you're like, oh yeah, we're definitely working on this behind the scenes. And you think how many of these things we keep finding out that the state is a part of.
Yeah.
That we've signed up for every national association for everything. And so Phil, this has been a question I've had for a long time, and y'all may know because of your involvement in education. Like these accreditation things, SACs or whoever it is, what do they really mean? And do they really matter? Because they're responsible for some of the things like you have to have a certain number of librarians to be accredited. What does that have to do with education? What does that have to do with whether or not my kids learn math? Why do we have these things, and do they actually matter. These national associations says you will do it like this, you will have this, you will have that, or you're not a good school. We have tremendous numbers of schools that are basically failing in my book, but these accreditation places say they're hunky-dory.
I would say it started out with good intentions of just making sure every school has a foundation,
Some basic guidelines.
some basic, that you can talk to a librarian or a counselor or whatever and get some guidance.
If you don't have these things, you're not really a school. You're just kind of a,
and
I can see that at some time.
Some basic foundational access that these kids have. But the problem is, does it really matter? I don't think so, because these teachers now, because of the pressure for testing, they're passing kids to the next grade that can't even read because their school will lose funding or they'll lose their job. I mean, it really is now kind of turning to work against them. And I see, like with the NEA and some of these school board associations, I think they're more waffling. There's more discussion than I've ever heard on, is this really necessary? Why are we paying these fees, these dues? We don't even agree with what you're pushing.
Right.
You don't even really, and they don't have to be there. I think it's like the peer pressure thing. I don't know.
Right.
What do you think?
That makes sense.
I think that I agree. I believe originally it probably started off with good intent and good intentions. And then you end up being in this whole situation where it's almost like the medical association. You've got a small percentage of doctors are like, what's going on here? And then the rest are like, I'm doing my job.
Right.
I'm doing what I got to do. Can you just leave me alone?
Right.
So you have a lot of really good people caught in the middle of two opposing sides that are constantly at war. But I don't know that it changes anything at all. Because if we go back to education, when we just had the ACT and the SAT, so many things would fall away if we said, that's the standard.
Right.
Structure your school according to that standard.
Just
and
make
just
it there.
Simplify that.
Right.
There you go. The same thing with counseling. Are you there to counsel a child to change their gender?
Right.
Or are you there to help them get to college? Because when we
That's
went along,
that's what I thought
it
high
was
school
to
counselors
get
were
to
in
college.
the
I worked for my school counselor. I thought she is an amazing person. I loved being around her because she had a lot of wisdom. She was fun.
Right.
But that was their job. And it's evolved into this whole other thing.
Well, now you're a psychiatrist,
And now,
psychologist.
and you don't have to tell the
you're-
parents what you talk about.
Right.
So I don't know that these accrediting or organizations are doing anything at all, because we were doing just fine, and and our grandparents sent people to the moon. Our parents sent people to the moon without all this crap around them.
Right.
And I think it's time to simplify back down and make those organizations give an accounting for themselves. Like, what exactly are you guys doing?
Right.
It's like, why do we have to dig to find out what you're talking about at the meetings?
We've got so many more children now with mental issues.
No,
Are things really worse than they were 100 years ago? Remember, so when we were little, we were taught that in the old days, Dad didn't want kids to go to school because he wanted to make them all work.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get away. So we had to have mandatory school because the parents were so sorry, so terrible, didn't care about education. They would make them work.
But they had fields and
I get that. I'm just saying, we were taught the parents were so awful and the kids were done so wrong.
Yeah.
But now it's like we have to have counselors and psychologists, psychiatrists, because we have all these kids with issues. It
gives them a job.
That's what I'm wondering, if we haven't
feels
created like this giant jobs program.
And that's what I mean is, if we simplify and we went back to high standards in education, using an actually rigorous ACT or SAT, because kids know now what day to take that on. In June, you take that one in June because that's the easiest one, or the writing one, which is in the fall. Whatever it is, and go back to simplifying that. And then from there, you build what you actually need, which is like school counselors to get you to college. Beyond that, what are you actually doing? Because it feels like it is a jobs program.
Well, I think we had to hire more and more people because we decided that no one could fail.
Correct.
And we're running a whole system that's designed to, how do we make sure that it appears that everyone graduated, that everyone,
it's
instead
so
of here's
disingenuous.
education, here's the test, did you pass, did you fail? We'll get you help if you failed. And then at the
credit
end,
recovery.
Yes.
We don't say failure, we say credit recovery.
So it's almost like we just totally twisted education away from did you get an education or not?
Can you think
and the further
or not?
we get away from did you get it or not, the more staff and more people and more programs and more stuff that we need, and it's still not working.
Well, real life example of how we're failing with more people and more money dumped in our education system than ever before. Like last night in my house, Jennings is applying for all the Auburn scholarships, and they really have streamlined it, which is great. And it's a basic thing. You have to do a resume and answer these questions or whatever. And she's been working on her resume. And I said, do you know how to do a resume? And she was like, yeah. And she showed it to me. I'm like, that's not a resume. I said, you don't know, like you're a senior in high school. You don't know how to do a basic resume. And she's like, I guess I can text one of my friends who's like going to Harvard or something and see what they did. And she sends it back. I said, did your counselor, like, have they not gone over the application process or how you write or a cover letter or how you answer these things? And she was like, no. And she actually said out loud, why don't our counselors teach us this? And I'm like, looking back and thinking to the transgender resources flyer because they're spending time on the transgender resources flyer outside their room. And now you have to text your friend and get an example of a resume. It's just sad. And it's so outside the bounds of what our education system is supposed to be. And then you go back to like the boy in California, but if parents aren't being parents, I still stand by that is not the role of the school.
Amen.
That is the church. The community, parents, let's step up and be adults. But anyway, we're failing our kids. So if it is a jobs program and they're not getting jobs because Jennings can't even write a resume.
I was talking about jobs in education, not jobs for the kids.
I guess I was thinking
not helping them get a job. That's college degree. Okay. But I'm talking about the education system in general is I would say, less about educating children and more about how many
agendizing children.
Yeah. And I need Jennings to get a job. That's what I'm concerned
absolutely.
about.
Yeah, get her a job.
Yes.
Or how about just
I need a couple
college?
off my payroll too.
All right, let me ask you this real quick question. Okay. How many of our kids who are in junior high I don't know the answer, can read a watch that just has hands or a clock that has hands?
Let me add on to that.
My gosh.
How many of them can read cursive?
And then how many can write cursive?
Do you know the discussion? And I don't know why we were in a gas station. This happened as like myself and Jeb, who's a sophomore, and our 8th grade daughter were walking into a gas station, and we were talking about.
Sounds like a joke.
Yeah, 3 people.
An old lady and 2 kids
and she's
are walking.
Chinese and he's Guatemalan. Like, it really is kind of the perfect setup. But this isn't a joke, even though you'll want to laugh because it's so sad. We're walking in and we're talking about I had just gotten back from Washington, D.C. Right. Okay. And I'm like, what are the 3 branches of government? Y'all, the answers I got, and these are, Jared and I are smart, but like stuff. These 2 adopted ones are the smart ones, okay?
Right, okay.
Like they had some really good genetics.
Okay.
The White House, the Senate, and the Congress.
Yeah, sounds perfectly right.
You know, the people that go in the robes, the people that wear the dresses, what are the,
right.
You know, like I got some of the most horrendous answers and I'm like, I felt like I had failed them.
Right. And you're like, wait a minute, I sent them to good schools.
They don't even, we finally got there, but it was a 20-minute discussion.
Oh, well, I've got one the other day, and the child's older. Hey, what time is it? 10 till 3. No, what time is it?
Oh, 10
till 3. No, what time is it? 10 till 3. Finally, another kid says, it's 2:50. Oh, okay. I'm not lying. So,
and that was with a digital watch.
Wow.
So 10 till 3, 2:50. And so you think, and you hear the stories of, like, we need to have a class to teach how to, do a checkbook. Yes, no. Hey, look, it's take the number, add this one, and then here's the new number. This is all the money you have left. You just think, what have we done?
Christmas envelopes. It's all coming back to me. I made those same 2 that are super smart sit down and address an envelope because I wanted to see if they could do it. It goes in the center, but what do you put? You put the address. Okay, so I put their email address. I wish I was joking.
Really?
Yes, I so wish I was joking. And then
I'm having an idea. We'll talk about it later.
Y'all, it's
Can we
bad.
make money with it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I want to talk about it then.
We'll talk about it off the show.
Okay.
All right. So,
Well,
so now
anyway.
we've graduated them, and they're going to Birmingham Southern. How about that? Is
Oh,
is
what?
Birmingham
Birmingham-
Southern still there?
It
Is it
might
still
be
a school?
closed.
Listen, Birmingham
going on
Southern
there?
is near and dear to my husband went there. His grandmother
did he
went
really?
Do
there.
all the tall guys go there?
All
'Cause
the
it's-
tall people go to Birmingham
didn't,
Southern.
Luther Strange went to Birmingham
They
Southern.
did.
Jabba
Jabba
Wagner?
went there. It's
Jabba's not tall.
He's not, but
Right.
I think he played basketball.
It was
Did he play
he played basketball. It was a great place. I was amazed when I was a newlywed and met all of Chris's friends. They're still friends to this day. It may be a small college, but they are mighty in number and in activity in Alabama and whatever. So to hear that they are out of money, I would judge that they were based on their decrepit basketball gym. And yes, I said it. It is a decrepit gym that my husband tried to get them to renovate and even took steps to try to do that. But there's no money. And so after
thought
Krulak
Birmingham
left,
Southern
who
was-
was phenomenal,
No, he was
General
Krulak.
Yeah,
Krulak,
but he went all
He was the
woke.
president.
but he went
he
woke.
went all woke, and that's where they went wrong.
It's true. Leadership wise, they were in a good place. But
Okay.
before him, they had a guy who spent so much money, he liked to spray tan himself. He's back up in the Pacific Northwest somehow leading a college. Then we got Krulak. And then
think
past
Miami.
that, it has been.
You can real tan in Miami. You don't have to spray
So
tan
what do
there.
y'all think? Should anybody bail them out or should they close?
Well, I mean, so they're millions of dollars in debt. And I was sent the emails that they're sending out to parents, and they are the most, like, it will make you nauseous. It's basically, we screwed up. We spent all your money. We had some financial miscalculations. I mean,
Their president is a financial guy.
no, they're saying, we had some accounting errors, but they don't expand on that.
Right.
And then it goes through this whole social media campaign, and that you can give, and all the money they're asking this private school
Okay.
is asking the government, the state, from like ARPA money. Is that what it's called? The CARES, is it
The
CARES Act?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then they want 15 million from there and 12 million from
The
the
county.
education fund, and
Okay.
then 3 million from the county, and all this that they are asking the government to bail them out. That is not the place of the government.
Right.
If we're going to start bailing out private institutions, here comes Samford University someday. And
Right.
there would be a lot of pushback because that's a Christian institution.
Right. But wasn't Birmingham Southern a Christian institution at one time?
Yes.
It's Methodist, I think.
Okay. I think
Yeah.
Nominally so.
Okay.
Used to be, but not
Right.
But then,
anything
like
else.
Miles College, apparently they've been in hardships for a while, and
Mm-hmm.
and I've heard that they already have their plan to ask Alabama
Oh, yeah. I
to
mean,
help
that's
them.
the way they'll
and
balance
then it's
it
going to
out.
keep going.
Right.
And then what if it's Briarwood Christian School someday? Like,
Right.
where does this end? And apparently, a
question.
lot of our legislators are in favor of this. And I'm like, if you're a true conservative,
Right.
this is not what the government.
Right.
This is free market. You went woke, it failed, and now you want to beg. I mean, these emails, I'll have to send them to you.
So,
They're
so what are
like-
they saying? Like, oh, it's
It's just, it's basically saying, I'll just have to, it's just nauseous. It's like we really screwed up, but don't blame us. We're trying everything we can, and we've done, but we don't want to do the hard work, where you should look to your donors. And why have donations stifled? Like,
Right.
you talk about all these rich people, all these successful people that graduated. Why aren't you depending on them? Why is
right,
it the
right.
government?
Such a good point.
Yeah.
Didn't they spend all of their, what do they call it? Trust? What is the thing where you
Endowment.
got your
They
endowment?
spent
Did spend all the
endowment.
endowment?
Then they lowered the tuition so that it was, more affordable. Well, where did they go to
Right.
More
be able to
equitable.
lower that?
Right.
Then you look at the buildings, for example, the money that they make on summer camps with basketball kids coming through, just
Okay.
basketball,
Okay.
is unbelievable. But if you look at the facilities, at the chairs, it's so gross. So
Right.
instead of taking the time 15 years ago to renovate the facilities and think
Right.
about how many kids not only go through there for camp that are paying
Right.
campers,
Right.
but are also potential students,
Right.
why wouldn't you look at that? That is an
Yeah. That's a
easy
recruiting
tool
for students.
for a school that either in Birmingham, it was Birmingham or Sanford, like great schools producing great people. However, if they are to get money from the state, which is very dubious,
Mm-hmm.
then if they're even considering it, and I don't know that they would, the strings attached
Mm-hmm.
would have to be very tight and very strict. And but I don't even know that that's
They're
Yeah.
definitely
Worth-
considering it. I mean,
But-
Jabbo Wagner, it's a bipartisan effort.
Right.
Gavan
Which
and
means
Smitherman are both in on it too.
right.
And
Well, you're
they're-
not going to help Birmingham Southern without helping Miles at the same time.
Yeah.
That is
You gotta help
that's part of
Miles.
the deal.
It's the right
That's
thing
just
to
the
do
way
if
it
you do that.
is, and that's going to be the balance. But do we need more? Do we absolutely have to have Birmingham Southern? Is it?
This is the
Do-
free market. That's what made me so sick about these
Yeah.
emails. It's like, we messed up. We had an accounting error.
Mhm.
We overspent. We weren't good stewards of what we have.
Mhm.
And now I'm going to make it everybody else's problem to clean it up.
Did
It's
they
like
cut-
if I
Pathetic.
go.
Did they cut their staff? Did they get rid of their diversity? Do they have a diversity, equity, inclusion director?
How about I'll
and,
look right now
and
for you?
all
Okay.
those kinds of things?
Yeah.
You said they had gone woke. You know, I've
Remember all
always
the
saw-
vaccine stuff? They were like mandating.
They were crazy.
Oh,
about
yeah,
the
they
fact-
really let out
with
on
their,
that,
especially
didn't
the
they?
sports teams.
Mhm.
And I don't know, like, even if it wasn't going woke, like, this is just the consequences of actions. I can't go buy a $20 million house and then say, oh, sorry, we overspent, and set up a GoFund. I mean, I guess I
Right,
could,
right.
but
Well, the
that's
state's
like,
not going to come help you.
why am I going to make my bad decisions your problem?
The state.
Why do all the taxpayers?
So they,
Oh, of course they have one.
they
Yeah.
have, they have
Diversity
that.
and inclusion.
But that was already part of their student body. I mean, it's just across the board. It
Right.
has infected
So they have failed.
the nation,
They failed as a business.
not just here in Birmingham.
And it's
the nation.
not the job of the state of Alabama to bail them out.
Safe zone training?
Oh.
That? Like where you can go and sit in a
Oh.
bubble,
Educate the community about sexual orientation and gender identity expression.
examine prejudice, assumptions. This is the BCS safe zone.
Well,
Develop
okay.
an understanding of the LG. Anyway, like
So that's it. Y'all
Speechless.
stalled out.
Totally
I'm
speechless.
just
So it's just.
You know what?
So you're voting against it.
I
You're not
am.
voting for a bailout?
Here's what I'm voting for because I love my husband. Is his grandmother taught there?
Right.
She played the organ across the street at what used to be McCoy
Are you about
Methodist.
to vote with your emotions?
I'm not voting with my
No.
emotions, but what I'm suggesting is that if they're to turn this around, they're going to have to get real serious about turning it around, but with heavy restrictions and fire. Should they fire everybody? I don't know. I don't know how this is going to turn out. I really can't say one way or the other, but I think that for Miles and for Birmingham Southern, it is the free market.
Why don't they just sell it to UAB? UAB can put one of their schools
so
over
sick of
there.
UAB too.
And I am too, but
Ugh.
still. I'm just saying,
I
I
don't
just
know.
don't see what the argument's going to be other than, well, we really like it and we hope it's there. So let's give it $30 million worth of taxpayer money. I just don't.
And they've
they're-
already failed with money.
They're
right.
so hypocritical too, because they want to be a private entity to be able to set their own rules and do their own things.
Right.
Oh, but hey, when the government can bail us out, then we'll
Right.
participate. I
Right.
mean, I can't support that
Right.
at all. I mean, what if let's set up a how to understand Christians committee.
Shouldn't we?
Like, that's where they're spending their money. Maybe they should put it in like the actual classrooms and they wouldn't be here. But maybe I'm hungry because I'm on Weight Watchers and
Right.
now I'm getting mouthy and
Because
mean.
isn't there a need in the market for a conservative college that when you graduate, when it says you graduated from Birmingham Southern, the new Birmingham Southern, every business owner says, "I'm hiring you because you can read, you can write, you have been educated."
Mm-hmm.
They don't even have to worry about it. Isn't there a market need for that?
I don't care if they stay the old Birmingham Southern. Just don't expect me, the taxpayer,
Right.
to bail that out.
But I hear you.
Sorry.
No, I think
Okay.
no. I am free market. I am upset for them
Mhm.
because when it was going, it was really going well.
Yeah.
Right.
And the people that it's probably like anybody's college. You love the people you know.
Right.
You love
Right.
the friends that you made.
Right.
But they let it fall into the ditch.
Right.
and they didn't do well with the finances that they were given. And so there's got to be a reckoning and an accountability for that. So here's something else I found out, that Christian colleges like Hillsdale, their application rate has soared. So in this dearth of really good, classically liberal schools,
Right.
teaching logic and rhetoric and how to actually get a job when you're out because you know how to think.
Right.
Imagine
right.
that.
Right.
Can you imagine if Birmingham Southern turned into a school like that?
There was a
Maybe
Hillsdale of the South.
came down, and I'm giving you an idea for free, people at Hillsdale. You're welcome. You could come down and have a Hillsdale of the South and just take it over.
I like it.
I like
Because
that idea.
their acceptance rate was like at 46%. Now it's down to 23% because they've
Been
they're
overwhelmed.
so selective. There's a new school, I think, in Texas, and there's a new school somewhere else. It's going gangbusters,
Right.
because that's the kind of education people are looking for. Because when it comes down to it, people want to get a job, they want to know how to think, and they don't want to deal with all the garbage that's being flung at them. They say no, thank you.
Yeah.
So Hillsdale, we invite you to Alabama.
I mean, do I
Please.
want to hire the kid who came from the most liberal college, really, to work for me? I'm thinking.
Some people do.
Okay, in about 3 months, I'm going to be sued for whatever I said.
Hot coffee.
Somebody's offended. Somebody's something. Y'all have seen that little Babylon Bee where the thing about hiring the girl who came from Twitter. And she's just like freaked out because they say something about manual labor or something and working.
Like
And she's
actually
like,
working?
That's not going to fit with my schedule and all that. And she finally says, I just don't think this is going to work out. And it's
Exactly it.
so that's kind of the way it is. All right. Last thing, I know we're running out of time. Alabama basketball player.
Tell us what you know about
gosh.
that. It's so tragic.
It's so sad.
for the sweet
all
girl
these
who died.
All these national outlets writing stories. I saw, what was it? It was the Huffington Post had a story, Alabama
course
basketball
they
player.
did.
And I'm like, oh yeah, exactly. They don't, if you were a basketball player in Chicago, not even news. But Alabama basketball player involved in a shooting. But I heard on the way in to do this program that the basketball player wasn't the shooter.
Good.
So
How much
I
does
I
that
guess
matter?
I'd-
Like,
But did you say it was his gun?
That's what the news item said. It was his gun, but the guy that was with him was the shooter, and
tragic
a
all
young
around.
lady lost her life. But have y'all seen the
Those-
video? It's like
I
a door. It's like
there's
like a
videos?
ring. There's like a ring doorbell
No,
thing of it. And
yeah.
it's like I was envisioning. It's still not good, but I was envisioning. Two people
Yeah.
shot back. It's like. I mean, like it is.
It's like
Yeah, it's like multiple shots, and when you hear it, you're
no.
like, "Oh my gosh!"
see
It's
to me that
unbelievable.
that makes it worse because in between those shots you have time to think.
No, they
like-
don't. These are like.
Well, but
like
if you're shooting one, but one's
Right.
coming at you, wouldn't that trigger something like, hey, maybe this isn't a good
Right.
idea, or hey, I'm not shooting it, but maybe I should drive the car away. Like I
Yeah,
don't know.
I don't even understand how all this happens. I will say that. Remember when your parents used to say, "Look, nothing good happens after midnight."
Yes.
That really is a good rule
Yeah, it really
because
is.
this is like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that, and you're just like, "What are y'all doing?" And how in the world did you get in an argument with people you don't know, and then you're shooting each other or shooting at each other's cars, and maybe it's part of in TV. The person's driving off and there's somebody shooting at the car and they unload like 10 rounds and everybody's fine and only one taillight gets busted out. These are
not-
real bullets flying at real people. And so unfortunately, the girl did.
One second of a bad decision has
Right.
ruined his life.
Yeah.
Not only did it take the life of a young woman, and I believe she was a mother.
Oh, really?
She was
gosh.
Emmy's age. And so that I can't imagine, and I'm very sorry for her family. But why, if it was his gun and not him shooting, didn't he yank his friend back and
and say, what are you doing?
What happened, since we have so much camera footage?
Right.
Why didn't he
Right.
what are you doing?
And we may find out tomorrow.
But maybe
that
he
was
did, and
in
I
the
hope he did.
shooting and-
But oh
Yeah.
my
but they've both
gosh.
been charged.
yeah.
And the guy
Capital
who
murder?
was driving, I think so. And the guy who was driving the car with the girl in it, he had fired back.
Right.
But it was interesting in the story because they went down the street and found a university campus police officer to say, "Hey, we just got shot at," and so it's really it's a weird kind of story. You would
Have to
think
follow
everybody would just scatter,
Yeah.
but it's a mess. It
Well-
really, really is. And the kids, he's out of school, off the team, all that kind of stuff
That
like that, which you kind of would think they would say, okay, what happened? Who's innocent? Who's guilty? But that's not the way we do it anymore, I don't guess. But yeah, lives are ruined.
Tragic.
So maybe we'll find out.
I want to
More
know.
about it.
Remember when they said he was walking, I guess, from the car to the jail, and he was mouthing or said, "I
Yes,
love you,
I
I love
more
you."
than you can
Yeah,
know.
I want to know. I don't know why.
That
I'm
was
like, I wonder
strange.
who that was. I don't know. It's kind of like your parents saying, like, who you hang out with matters, and
Mhm.
this is going to be really unfortunate if, if he really, maybe he didn't pull the twiggle,
Right.
maybe, but he is caught up in it now, and it stinks.
Right. Yeah.
And his life.
And this
He
was
coulda
he
had it
was
all.
from Washington D.C.
Yeah.
and the other guy is from Maryland or somewhere. So I guess they were
Yeah.
friends from up there. And I mean, can you imagine if the guy comes in town, he's like, "Hey, you need to come hang out with me," and something crazy happens, and you're kind of like the bystander, and you were hanging out with the wrong person. I'm not saying that he was. I'm just saying,
Right. What
Yeah.
if, what
People
if
need
that's
to-
the case?
Yeah, I mean, golly, you think about your own kids and like,
Yeah.
guys, girls, pay attention to who you're hanging out with.
right.
You can tell somebody, "No, I'm going home."
Right. And when they ask
Yeah.
for your gun, no.
Yes,
Or put a lock on it. Not
You know, if,
Right.
if you
your
have a
dashboard.
permit or you don't, and you've got it in your car and it just happened to be there and he grabbed it, that's a
Right.
whole nother thing. That could have
Right.
been a thing as well.
It could be.
But so tragic.
It really is. It is.
Now they have constitutional carry, so I guess it's legal.
He legally had it.
Yeah.
So who knows? It'll be very interesting to
Although,
see.
how old was he?
He's
I
20.
think you can still have it. You just can't buy it.
Okay.
Is he 21?
Yeah, he's 20.
He's in his
20-something. Yeah, because the
20s.
younger one, the other guy's younger and he's 20. So I think that works out. I hate to end the
Shoot,
show.
we gotta
on a
go. I wanted to
negative thing.
see-
Yeah.
Well, I did want to ask if you're offended about the Missouri House rules where the women can't wear sleeveless shirts anymore.
I
what
was
do you-
wondering
I mean,
about
I do
that.
have a sleeveless shirt underneath this, but
Right.
that's because I thought it was going to be cold.
So the guy, okay, let's make sure we're all even here.
Okay.
You guys have to wear a
The
tie, a
guys
coat and
have
tie.
to wear a coat and a tie. And I'm pretty sure the coat probably has to have sleeves.
I think that if
So-
it brings some kind of respect level with it, I think we've gotten very casual in
Some
our society.
decorum.
Some decorum. I mean, our founding fathers would have not shown up, you know.
They wore the white
Martha
the
Washington
wigs.
probably wouldn't have had maybe she would have because it's got hot.
It was
up
hot
there.
in Virginia sometimes.
I don't know.
You
but
think
I
Martha
think
was
if
coming in with the tank top?
everybody, hey, here's how it would all change is if men were forced to wear pantyhose. If they make the women on the floor wear hose, then the men will be like, forget it. You can wear a
Well, and you
sleeveless
don't
shirt.
want a guy coming in a tank top,
No, I don't want to see that.
even with a jacket over it.
What if he's
I
got
don't wanna
guns?
see
What if
that.
he has
Yeah.
guns?
What
no,
kind of
guns?
No,
With that,
that's just not.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like when
but I don't want to
No,
Zelensky-
I'm
see
not
that.
good guns. Well, they're all good guns. All right, muscles.
Okay.
You're okay with that, right?
When Zelensky shows up to speak to Congress in a
In a
sweatshirt
t-shirt, yeah,
or
gross.
whatever, I'm like, I'm out on that too. So I'm not offended by it. I think you do.
See, I thought women all over were pitching a fit.
Plus,
No,
you don't want
I'm not
some
offended
woman
by
out
it.
there hoeing it up in some tight sleeveless.
It's true. Like you
Yeah.
can't,
like
you
gotta-
can't depend
you
on
can't
women to
do
wear
that.
the right things.
but just don't
I'm probably gonna get in
make
trouble
them
for
wear
saying that.
hose. But I don't have a problem
Not-
dressing up and
Hose.
looking nice.
Hose.
They're wearing hose. They're not.
Being
They are.
They're
hose.
not a
Okay.
hose. Wait,
Or they are. What if it's fishnet?
Anywho, a
So,
little decorum is
little
good.
decorum's okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So
you gotta
why
have
were all
roles.
the women pitching a fit? It was like
Because
the
we're
feminist.
free. Don't you know we're free to dress horribly?
We can dress however we want.
Yeah.
And you can't look at us.
What
or,
if
you're-
they-
or then you're objectifying.
Well, I was
Yeah.
Is that
gonna
the
say
word? That's one of my
something.
Yes.
favorite words, objectifying.
Yeah.
It's
Keep my
just
mouth
fun to
shut.
say that. Monkeypox.
Oh, monkeypox. That was a long
That is
time
funny.
ago.
That's a great
What
word.
happened to monkeypox?
It's now called
magically went
MX or
away.
something now.
Oh, of course
Oh,
it is.
Yeah,
Because-
because it was racist. I think. Isn't that what they said?
I
There's
don't
a
know.
measles outbreak in Ohio. Have you heard about that?
Don't
Did
go
that
to
come from
Ohio.
illegal
Anyway,
aliens?
yes, actually,
Is it
did.
really?
It did. Yes.
Oh, great. Well, at least we bust them there.
Well, yeah.
Have measles, will travel. What?
Okay.
I don't know. I can't even comment on that.
All right.
Are
Then.
we stopping?
Let's just end it. I need
End
to
it
stay.
now? Okay.
Okay.
Hey, thank you for watching this week's edition of Alabama Unfiltered. Don't forget to check us out at all the appropriate places where you find your podcast. Also go to 1819news.com, sign up for the Daily Detail, and I always check this out and the newsletter so that you'll get all the Alabama news right in your inbox. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Y'all did fantastic.
Did we?
Well, y'all did. Yes.
Look at that.
Surprise.
He approves.
High five. High five.
Oh, that was
not
like.
good.
That
That
was-
was still not good.
Y'all are so generic. See y'all, by the way.